It's a little bit yet, Larry, man. I'll let you know when to type the word raffle. Alright. So if you guys go ahead and start rating that there. Let me switch over here. Alright, hopefully you guys can see everything. Yeah, this was relatively spoiler-free. There was plenty of times where this game definitely made me consider just looking stuff up, where to go. Especially if it was just talking to someone and things like that. And it made me realize that we just might have to do that occasionally with the tour. This spoiler-free section might not go on forever, or at the very least I might ask for hints and things like that, especially if it's something incredibly minor. We spent a good 12 hours or more trying to figure out where to go in a couple situations, so yeah, it definitely made me think a lot. So the music rating for this was actually not the strongest OST for me. I like a lot of 7 and 8's music. I remember liking the earlier games' musics as well, OSTs, whatever. But this one wasn't quite as strong as those. And I guess I should get rid of the whole DS thing, huh? Since, you know, we didn't play it on the DS. There were good tracks. There's tracks that's in basically every Dragon Quest game that you just get used to and grow accustomed to. And it had some good ones, but overall it was just kind of, I don't know, and not quite as exciting to me as some of the other ones, and maybe it's just because the newer ones are so fresh in my mind. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6 for the OST. It wasn't bad, it got a little boring sometimes, but the tracks that were good overall. But the Dragon Quest games I've played in the past, I preferred the music from those, so we're gonna go ahead and give it a 6 for that. So the graphics, I like the graphics. I never played a Super Nintendo Dragon Quest, and to see like where this came from and then went to Dragon Quest 7, I see a lot of aspects that they kind of reused. They were trying to go for that like that somewhat 3D style. That's where they were really starting with it and things like that, so that was interesting. The game looked good. Lots of, I guess I could say the biggest flaw with Dragon Quest games, and it's in all of them, the fact that you can't see your characters and what they're doing, and you're just seeing like attack animations and stuff like that go across. And the attack animations weren't really all that exciting or anything like that. The NPCs were all very similar, but the environments and stuff like that were the things that were interesting. There's a lot of unique environments in this game. It reminds me so much of 7 in that regard. So I'm going to say for an SNES game and things like that, it was above mediocre. Remember, we played a lot of games where there was characters that showed emotion and did all this type of stuff around the time that this game actually came out. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a 7 in that regard. The story rating. I don't know if it was because of the translation or not, but I feel like the story was kind of hard to follow. I didn't really know what was going on most of the time. I mean, I get it. There were two worlds. There was a dream world and another world. We were kind of split up from our original self when we were in the other world. We met up with ourselves. We became the person that we were. We found out about where we started, where we came from, what's going on in the world. The first major boss seemed like it was going to be like the final boss, but instead it was just basically the first major enemy. But then the game kind of like branches off into anywhere. It almost feels like you can do just about anything, and there's no real plot direction at that point. It's just find a new town, do something in that town, that's it. Period. You're not really working towards a goal or anything at that point. Your only goal literally is to just find new places and try to find where to progress. And I feel like because of that, the story suffered a little bit. And then it picked up a lot more at the end, which was enjoyable to me. And I feel like if it was a little bit more linear like the prior Dragon Quest, it would have fit this game a little bit better. I understand what they were going for, kind of like an open world type experience where there's a bunch of different areas to explore. You can do quests, you don't necessarily have to finish them and things like that. But you can do those things as long as it gets you to the point of being able to progress to the next town and then to the next town. And then eventually we got to the point of being able to find the armor and stuff, and that's where the story picked up a bit. But because of that, I just felt like I wasn't making progress constantly. I didn't know if what I was doing was actually progressing the game, whether it was necessary, whether I was doing extra stuff or not, because I would just find a place that I was capable of going and thought that that's where I needed to go. But there's never any indication, really, that you're progressing other than, like, oh, I have access to another town now. So I think they could have did that a little bit better. And I don't know if that's the translation's fault or not. The ending was a bit confusing. I'm guessing Barbara was not of our world. She was actually from the dream world. We thought that she was a real person, but she wasn't. So she goes back to dream world. I'm guessing it's trying to tell us that we're going there. The worlds didn't, like, combine, but we still had access to the Pegasus, so I guess we could go between the worlds and things like that. And it's trying to make you feel for those two as, like, a couple, and it just doesn't work because they don't really talk much throughout the entire game. They go on a journey, and that's about it. You have a conversation with her at the beginning of the game when she's recruited, and other than that, she barely talks at all. And same thing with the main character. So it's hard to, like, even feel torn there. But of course, you know, being somewhat of a hopeless romantic and stuff, seeing her disappear was sad to me. And seeing her at the end made me happy. But all in all, the story was just kind of eh. And I really liked 7 and 8's story. And I was really expecting to like this one as much. But I didn't, really. I do like the concept of the two worlds, even though they were really confusing to navigate and stuff like that, because I wasn't sure what areas I had already explored from one to the other, and the fact that the one map was mapped out and the other map wasn't. But I feel like this story could have been better, and they started something that was unique and interesting between the two worlds, and the concept of there being, like, you know, a split of you there and everything else. I just don't know that it was executed that well. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the story a 6. There's the first part of the game, then it says, well, go do stuff until you get to the final boss. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly it. And I don't know if you can do stuff out of order or not. It didn't seem like you could. It seemed like you were very limited to what you could do, but the game gives you the option to explore other areas and do things, and, like, sail around everywhere, even though you can't really land somewhere and do something. So the mechanics. Dragon Quest mechanics are kind of... they're generic at this point. They very rarely change. The way combat works and stuff like that is very similar. You get some new classes and new attacks. And I don't know if this is the first one that has classes in. Well, 3 has classes, but you're building characters at that point. You're creating characters and giving them a class. This was one where you could switch classes and things like that. So it might be the first one that did that. I do not know. I haven't played 4 or 5, but the ability to switch classes is always cool. I feel like I chose a pretty good strategy. I went with melee and, like, defensiveness on both Hassan and Grayson, and I went for, like, mage aspects with most of my other characters until I got Terry, which, by the way, you get him way too late to really do anything with him, even if you liked him as a character. He seems like he was maybe a little bit more tanky than Hassan was, actually, and maybe Hassan did a little bit more damage. But either way, my strategy worked, and I feel like a bunch of other strategies would have worked too, and that's always cool. So in that regard, I feel like that was well done. But there's not too much else to say about the Dragon Quest games. The fights are very, very generic at this point. It's very, very similar from one game to the other. You can pick one up and really not be able to distinguish it other than the graphics if you're watching a battle. And that's not what it's like in most other game series, whereas battles and things like that are one of the first indications that give you which Final Fantasy it is or something like that. Yeah, apparently there was a character that I could have recruited, but I guess because I talked to him and I told him that he was becoming a monster, he didn't join me. But anyway, the mechanics, if we're comparing it to other SNES games and battles and things like that, it's nothing overly exciting, but it is comfortable, it is relaxing, and it's pretty simplistic, even though the difficulty tends to ramp up a little bit. The world, though, and the puzzles and things like that, that's the thing that it's a little difficult in these games. It always feels great to solve a puzzle, to find the person you need to talk to use the item on the person that you have to do it, or going up to an area and be like, huh, I wonder if this item works. It's always a satisfying feeling, but some of the Dragon Quest games are so ridiculous in the little things that you have to do, and there's no indication of whether you're on the right track or not. Like, I found out clues to go through an area for a while, and I wasn't sure if I was in the right area or not. Turns out I was. And it turns out if I would have searched every single pixel of that area, I would have found the right place to go. But I actually had to talk to an NPC that I did not have access to until maybe 20 hours later. So I had this clue that I couldn't do anything with. But when you talk to someone, you get a clue, and they don't, like, say, if you have access to this area or something like that, or this place requires more clues or anything like that, you don't know whether you're on the right track or not. You really don't. And that gets frustrating. You waste a lot of time. And it doesn't really feel good after spending 5 hours looking for an NPC to talk to finally talk to them and they tell you basically nothing, but then that triggers your progression in the game. That's not fun, and it's also not interesting. And that's a flaw in the Dragon Quest games, I feel. People can call it difficult if they want. I don't really call it difficult. I call it, like, maybe it's a lack of hand-holding, and maybe that's something that a lot of people have come used to. But I feel like you need to direct the player in some way. You need to kind of force them into the right direction and not show them that you're forcing them in the right direction. Give them dialogue that's important. Don't give them access to so many different areas if they're not actually going to be able to do anything in these areas. And I feel like because this game kind of opened up the way it did, it made it very, very confusing for me. So, although it was a Dragon Quest game, it was relaxing, it was enjoyable. There was quite a bit of grinding I had to do to really progress and things like that. There were some quest lines and other things that I had to do that were very obscure. And I feel like this was maybe the most obscure one I've played. And Dragon Quest VII is pretty obscure with some of the things that you have to do. It really, really is. Compared to 7 is that the game has a lot of dead-end classes, like the Mage, Cleric, Fighter, Warrior, all have a nice cluster of connected classes, but the other first-level classes require too much investment to... Yeah, you know, I'm glad I made the Dancer, and the Dancer and the Goof-Off ended up really working out for me, but it was a struggle to use them early, because the Dancer didn't really bring anything to the table, and the Goof-Off made it so that my character didn't listen to me half the time. So, but then you get the Superstar class, which is really, really good, and I use that for basically the rest of the game. But it was a struggle to do the other ones, so yeah, I can see what you're talking about, buddy. It might have been a little bit easier to use some other classes in that regard. But I stuck with what I stuck with, and it kind of worked for me. But anyway, the mechanics, Dragon Quest hasn't changed much. I feel like the open world nature of this game was kind of confusing to me. The ability to do everything really made it difficult to know whether I was ever making any progress towards the story. And eventually when I did, and the game picked up a lot at the end, I did like it a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 in that regard as well. Yeah, so grinding is something you come to expect in these games. Whether it's grinding out class battles, whether it's grinding out experience, killing metal slimes and stuff like that. At some point in time, even if you fight every single battle in the game that you've come across, there's probably going to be a point where you have to grind a little bit. However, it was a lot quicker than some of the other games that I played. It wasn't necessary for every boss. It did help. Maybe a better class structure would have made it easier. Maybe if I wouldn't have died so many times and lost so much money and had to, hiccups, and have to revive people constantly and stuff like that, I would have had more money to buy items, which would have made situations easier. I didn't really buy a lot of healing items and stuff like that, which might have been more beneficial as well. If I would have figured out how to kill metal stuff quicker, I could have maybe gained a little bit more experience faster as well, because I did see quite a few metal baubles that I didn't even have a chance with. And same thing with metal slimes. Even though I had the ability to kill them, I didn't use it because I tried to use it about 100 times and it never worked for me. Actually, it's more like 20 to 25 times and it never once worked, so I stopped using that ability. And then later on, I was using it and it was hitting pretty often. So I don't know if it was based on stats or something like that. But you're gonna have to grind in these games, and it's expected. Is it really necessary? Probably not if you go with like a perfect build or perfect items and you know what everything does. But if you're going to play a game like Dragon Quest blind, you're going to grind. You're absolutely going to grind. There's too many items that do things that you don't know that they actually do things, like forcing a critical hit or missing. Weapons like that are incredibly strong. You can focus on just making like one really tanky, attack-heavy character, and then the rest of the characters are basically keeping him alive for damage. That's a tactic that's used in a lot of the Dragon Quest speedruns. But if you're coming into a game like this from scratch, even with prior knowledge from other Dragon Quest games, you're probably going to grind. But it's not nearly as grind-heavy as something as Etrian Odyssey was, or Strange Journey. It absolutely was not nearly as bad as those two. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 in that regard. It was necessary, it was a bit time-consuming, but it really wasn't that bad, and you were learning new skills and stuff like that. I was gaining benefits other than just stats, and that to me is always more of an accessible grind. And really there was a lot of places to grind that gave me varying experience, different enemies, and things like that. And if I would have used the Beastmaster, maybe I would have been able to recruit these enemies and things like that. So yeah, it really wasn't that bad. So overall, it's about between a 6.5 for me is probably what I'd say I'd give this. It wasn't my favorite Dragon Quest game. I was interested in the story, but I felt like the structure of the game didn't really give me what I was looking for. And I felt like there was lots of times where I was just hoping for a little bit more plot, but it came so late. And it was cool to meet the unique townspeople and what was going on in their lives and things like that, but you're in these areas for such a short time, and you might be able to gain more story from those areas or do other things, but I couldn't figure out how to do some of this stuff, so I left people stranded, I felt. Like there was a big demon eating fish in this one town, and I went and helped a mermaid and then came back, but did I ever kill that demon? Was it the demon that was in the castle? I don't know. I really don't know. I thought that maybe I could have fought it or something, but I could never find it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and, since I don't round, or I don't really type 6.5 or anything like that normally, I try to get it up to like a point or things like that. But I'd definitely say that this game's a solid 6 for me. It's well above average. And I did enjoy aspects of it, but maybe the translation or the SNES version made aspects of it worse, and maybe the DS version overall was better and would have made it a more enjoyable experience. But to me, it was just a comfortable game to play. It was fun, it was interesting, it made me a bit salty on occasion, but it was overall just a fun game to play. If you liked Dragon Quest and you want to play one, it would not be the first one that I recommend to you, but it's a solid Dragon Quest game. It really is. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6, and I'll check what you guys rated it, and then we'll get to the raffle part. Yeah, like Dragon Quest is a really chill game. I'm very comfortable with playing them, and it is relaxing to me. It really is. And again, I know a lot of people see something like a 6 and they're like, oh god, he hated it. But that's not the case. I really didn't. I just feel, to me, my overall rating for a game has a lot to do with whether I would really recommend something to somebody. And again, I do have some prior knowledge with other Dragon Quest games, so it's hard for me to be completely impartial and not like put that in there, because I have played 7 and 8 and I've played some of the prior ones. If it was the first Dragon Quest game I played, I probably would have really enjoyed it in comparison to the other ones, but I have to do a little bit of comparing since there are so many of them and they don't really change that much, and it's going to come into play later on when we talk about other ones. But let's see what you guys voted here. Let me do a little bit of math. Wow, we got a lot of votes tonight. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it when everybody votes, because I'm always interested to see what you guys think as well. The game absolutely picked up a lot at the end too. I wish it was like that the whole time. I didn't necessarily need like maximum plot constantly. I didn't need to constantly be getting fed plot, but I just feel like there was way too big of a gap for the main plot. And that really killed it for me. It really did. If it was a little bit of a faster pace in that regard, if I would have gotten a little bit more story towards who the major boss was going to be and stuff like that sooner, I would have been more invested. And yeah, the party system chat from the DS version definitely would have been better as well, I feel. And I'm gonna go ahead and queue this up as the SNES version just for reference so people know. And that I'm not comparing the two games. I'm not saying that, you know, the DS version cannot be better in some regards. It absolutely could have been. But you guys, it was a 6.8 altogether for you, so I'm gonna round that up to a 7 for you. Will I replay this game? Probably not. Maybe if I get a copy of the DS version, but I probably won't play this version again. Alright, so it is the 25th. Wow, we haven't beaten a game in a while, have we? 2018. Third game we've beaten in January. Alright, 50 hours, 54 minutes, and 54 seconds. Sorry. Alright. Well, guys, you know what time it is. It is raffle time. If you want to enter the raffle, all you have to do is type the word raffle. And you'll be entered to pick the next game that I play. Go ahead and take a look at the list. I'll do my best to try and make sure everyone's in there. Again, all you have to do is type in the word raffle, and you will be entered. This is the first time you've joined? Well, good luck. Again, everyone has an equal chance to win, and there's no limit to the amount of times that you can win either. Currently, Nightbot is also in there. If Nightbot happens to win, what I'll do is I'll put 5 games on a list, and I will let you all vote between those 5 games. Whichever game gets the most votes, then we'll play that one. It's very unlikely that Nightbot wins, but that's my own little way of me being able to put some games into the fray as well to be picked. So, oops. So if it does happen at some point in time, we'll do something like the straw poll, and you guys will get to vote. So you guys will still have a say in what game I play, even if Nightbot wins. So don't worry about that. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, sitting there watching me grind, sending me songs and things like that. Let's keep you guys from waiting much longer. Good luck, everyone! Let's see who it's gonna be this time. That's someone completely new. Someone that definitely has not won before. Rigged! Go ahead and send me a message if you're there. Oh, there we go. There's a message. Congratulations. Go ahead and take a look at the list. Take your time and pick a game. Eltanen wins yet again. It's not Eltanen! Every person that wins that is not you guys is not an alternate account of Eltanen. Or Nakurdi, for that matter. No, he doesn't. He has an E in his name. That's the only similarity. But yeah, go ahead and take your time. There's a lot of games on that list. Same letters, same guy. Yeah, Tarblade's my ult, obviously. Yeah, plot twist. We're all Eltanin. You need special privilege, Kevin? I'm sorry, man. Everyone has an equal shot, no matter what. You guys are crazy. You have way too much fun with this. It's always good to see someone new win. It definitely makes me happy. That is so Grayson. So, while we're waiting to see what the next game's gonna be, let me go ahead and change this. I have not, but a lot of people have said that the GBA version's not all that great, so I think I'm leaning towards the SNES version. I did a little bit of research on it, but not a whole lot. Tomorrow is Friday. That's absolutely true. Kangaroo version? There's a kangaroo version? GBA version is hilarious? What? What's so much different about it? There's a PS1 fan translation too. Well, I'll have to do a little bit more research on it, but SNES is definitely one of the easier ones to run on my system. GBA would probably work as well. But I was probably leaning towards SNES. PlayStation's always a little bit different, more difficult to get and to stream with and things like that. It definitely puts some pressure on my PC. Probably just looking at the list. Are you leaning towards anything, Edgar? Do you have anything in mind? Or any questions about the list or anything like that? If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I'm in no rush. I don't want him to feel rushed either. I just want to make sure he's not confused by anything or anything like that. He's waiting for L10 to tell him what to pick? I don't think that that's the case. I do not think that that's the case at all. Bum bum. 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 Da 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 na 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 na. Isn't Fantasia another 50+ hour game? I'm not sure. Let's check to see what The internet says. Da, 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 da. Looks like the average is about 32 hours. Leisurely is 43, so I'll probably put it up for about 35 hours as the estimate. Like I can trust the internet. Yeah, I think that How Long to Beat's been pretty accurate so far. It's definitely saved me the trouble of guessing or going around and asking people. Yeah. So if I'm playing it, it's basically 40 hours. Cause you know we're good at beating games. Bum 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 bum. See? We beat the estimate. That was a good estimate, okay? 100% accurate. I mean, there's a couple games you could have kind of called action RPGs, I guess. Magna Carta was kind of action RPG-like. Eternal Sonata is kind of action RPG-like as well. I don't know what you call Dark Cloud. Like, if you consider them action RPGs or not. So we kind of played a few, I guess. Well, How Long to Beat also doesn't factor in people that use guides and stuff like that either. No. I actually still add games. I try to give it about a month buffer. And like if games are new and stuff like that, I give them about a month. And if there's games that I missed or just didn't know about or anything like that, I do have a Discord where you can go ahead and recommend it and put it in the recommended section, and I'll add it to my list. I have to do a little bit of research on it, and I'll ask questions amongst you guys and stuff like that if we agree that it's a JRPG. It's not just my list. This is everybody's list. This is our project. I might be the one playing the games and stuff like that, but, you know, there's a lot of games to play. I'm gonna need some help keeping this list accurate, and also finding, like, games to play, translations, and things like that. So, the hard part about it is, with that, Eltanin, is that, like, even now, if I wanted to do, like, the DS version of Dragon Quest and things like that, it's the time, really. If I could be putting the time into something like that, I could be putting the time into a new game. But maybe, at some point, we might go back and do something like that. Maybe after the tour's finished, maybe we can replay some of these. Maybe there's some games that I'm gonna really want to replay overall. But yeah, it's our project, guys. This is our quest, our journey together to go through these games and experience them, you know, and share them with one another. I want to play the games that you guys love, and I want to experience things that I've never experienced before, and replay some of the stuff that I really enjoy, and share it with all of you. 25 years from now, yes, it's gonna be a while. How you doing there, Edgar? You still around? Any ideas as to what you might want to pick? Give me a sign, buddy, if you can, to let me at least know that you're still around. that you're if you're having trouble accessing the list or anything like that. Are you streaming tonight, Coldfloor? I don't think he died. There's a lot of games to look at. There is an absolutely large amount of games to look at. I'm not gonna play hurry up music. You're not streaming tonight? Alright. I guess that means that I will have to find someone else to host tonight. Whoa. Yeah. Edgar's playing through them all. We'll figure out which one he wants to pick. Yeah, you know, I'll give you to about 11 o'clock, Edgar, and if you don't have a pick by then, I might need to re-roll and pick someone else. And I'm sorry for that. I do have to cut stream and get to bed here at some point so I can make it work. But I'll do my best not to rush you or anything like that. I have not played that, Xenom. I've heard about it, though. Oh, why is it partially marked green? Let me go ahead and look at the list for that. SNES for that, right? I don't think it's partially marked green. Doesn't look like it, at least. Unless I'm just going blind. It's hard to type on 2 accounts. Finishes off a console. What console can you finish off? We've got like so many RPGs for each console. N64 still has a couple other games. Quest 64 we beat. Oh yeah, that's right. There's not really many Wii U JRPGs, is there? You don't know that, Doc. There's a chance that you can win. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not, like, attempting to be whispered or anything like that. I really feel bad. I don't want to re-roll after someone won. I'm more excited for it, Pistol McAwesome. I'm curious to see what it's going to be. Come on. It's gonna be FF6. It's a really solid game. Well, I said I'd give them to 11 o'clock. my time, so that's about 5 minutes yet. I'll stick to that. I got a message from him. I got a message saying whoa, so we got one message at least. I just want to make sure it's not like having trouble getting back into chat or something like that, you know? Yeah. I'd feel terrible if, like, their internet went down or something like that. Maybe I should make, like, a rule or something like that for picks that they have to be done in a certain time frame. I don't really want to rush people, though. There's a really, really long game list to look through. I mean, if you really want to look through it and you didn't have the time to look through it before, then... A link for him? What type of link? Yeah, if you can at least let us know that you're here and you're still looking at the list, we can go from there. I just kind of need some reference to you still being here. Even if you just let us know you're still looking to pick a game or something like that. The thing about that, it's not about it being unreasonable to wait till the next stream. It's just that everyone was here, you know? People were here for the raffle, and if I start the next stream and there's, you know, 5 people here that weren't here at the end of this game that can just be there to enter the raffle and stuff like that, it's if we had to re-roll it for whatever reason. And again, if we wait and someone doesn't pick the game for a day, we're still in the same position then at that point. I guess I need to look into like making some type of rules or something like that for this. This is the first time this has happened. So... Yeah, I honestly, I don't really know what to do in this situation because, I mean, they were here, but it's been 15-20 minutes or so now, and it looks like they're still here. I wish that I could tell, like, who was looking at the list and stuff like that, honestly, to at the very least see whether they're looking at the list right now or not. And I don't really want to deprive someone from, you know, a pick or anything like that either. But I'm sorry, man. Holy crap, I feel terrible. Alright. I'll give you 30 seconds to respond, Edgar. If you send a response in 30 seconds, then you can pick the game still. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and re-roll. I don't want to get into that type of scenario, Tarblade, because seeing what the next game's going to be and stuff like that is part of the stream to begin with, and we could still have someone that even by the end of the next game doesn't pick a game. So I don't really want to rely on stuff like that, you know, the unknown and things like that, because I need to prepare. I might need to buy a game. I might need to go get a system or something like that. I might not be able to stream something. I need some time to prep that type of stuff, which is why I give myself a buffer between games, so I kind of know what I do. And trust me, I don't want to really do this, but... Alright, Edgar. I'm sorry, man. Hopefully you win again, and hopefully there's less problems next time and things like that. And if you had issues or anything like that, looking at the list, or you're having issues sending in chat, you can let me know, and we'll try and get that solved for the next time you could potentially win. But we're gonna re-roll here. Travis, congratulations, man. You won on the reroll. Rigged. Alright, man. Go ahead and take your time to look at the list for a little bit. We'll set a standard going forward, guys. We'll give 15 minutes for someone to pick a game. And that's just going to be it. If you don't pick the game in 15 minutes, then... It's Pokemon Coliseum? Oh, God. Alright. Pokemon Coliseum, huh? Alright. Again, Edgar, I'm sorry. I do appreciate you sticking around and entering the raffle. First time played? Yes, it's the first time played. But on that note, congratulations, Fidel Infidel. Looks like we are playing our first Pokemon game. Not exactly the first type of Pokemon game that I figured I'd play, but I don't really know anything about it. I guess we'll see. But thanks again, everyone, for sticking around. We've got a strong group of people here right now, and this is some of the most people I've had for a long time, so if you guys don't mind, I really want to try and raid somebody tonight. So, if you guys are willing to help me with that, we're gonna start prepping for that. Alright, let's find somebody to host first of all. I know you guys are here for JRPGs, so I always try my best to send you in that direction if I can. I told you for the rest of this month I'm going to be trying to host Kolthor as much as possible, but if he is not here... Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Who do we want to host here? Not too many people doing JRPGs. There's BGG, but he's got quite a few people watching him already. You know what? I think that I'm going to host Toucan Sham here. He's doing some Zelda randomizers. He's just having some fun and stuff like that. Not sure how long he's going to be doing that, but he's a cool guy. He's a part of the group that I'm a part of as well. I'm sure he'd enjoy a good raid. So, get ready, guys. Get ready. Everybody spam FOE. Spam it, guys. Spam it like you mean it. I want it spanned for every time it's said in this song. And that's quite a bit. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.